There comes a point in your relationship with money where you finally realize that the pressure you've been applying has never been the thing that brings abundance to you. In fact, the more you push, the more it feels like money moves further away. Not because you are doing something wrong, and not because money is limited, but because forcing is a vibrational posture that contradicts receiving. Forcing comes from tension. Receiving comes from emotional openness. Can't occupy both states at once, and that is why trying harder often feels like it makes things worse. Money has never been a reward for strain, it has always been a reflection of your internal atmosphere. The dollars that eventually show up are just the physical evidence of an emotional climate you've been cultivating. When that climate is soft, appreciative, satisfied, and inwardly abundant, money becomes one of the easiest things to flow into your life. But when the emotional climate is built on urgency, fear of not enough, or constant self-measurement, receiving becomes difficult because those emotions are signaling lack, and your inner algorithm simply mirrors what you are emotionally feeding. This inner algorithm works exactly like the personalized feed on your favorite social platform. It doesn't judge you, doesn't punish you, simply follows your focus. If you emotionally scroll through lack, fear, or worry, the system assumes, oh, this is what we are watching today, and it shows you more thoughts that match the same tone. If you practice satisfaction, relief, appreciation, and small moments of joy, the system responds by offering impulses, ideas, timing, and opportunities that match those emotional states. Money is not separate from this. It is part of the same feedback loop. Most people are trying to change the outcome before they change the emotional input. They try to alter the physical situation while still feeding the emotional algorithm with worry. They look at the bank balance and then emotionally react to it, and that reaction becomes the dominant signal the algorithm uses. When worry becomes the signal, the future becomes a continuation of the same pattern. Nothing new can enter while the emotional feed is broadcasting lack. You have probably experienced moments where you tried to force money to come faster. You planned, pushed, hustled, or worked harder while feeling fear underneath it. And even though your actions were intense, the results barely moved. Not because you were unlucky, but because money does not respond to pressure. Money responds to readiness, emotional readiness. You can only receive what your energy is ready to allow. There are people who have perfect work ethic, perfect discipline, and perfect strategy, yet money trickles into their lives slowly because their internal world is full of clogged emotional pipes. They are trying to operate from a place of tension, and tension interrupts flow. And then there are others who seem to live in a relaxed state, who follow ideas when they feel good instead of when they feel desperate, who trust their timing and appreciate small joys, and money flows to them in ways that seem effortless. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is not talent. The difference is emotional alignment. Money follows emotional abundance long before it becomes financial abundance. This is why you hear people talk about being rich in gratitude, rich in ideas, rich in vitality, or rich in connection. These forms of richness matter because they are emotional indicators that your internal algorithm is set to abundance. When you feel satisfied without forcing outcomes, you are already broadcasting the emotional tone that money matches. Your inner state becomes a signal that says, I am safe, I am supported, I am willing to receive, and the universe mirrors that tone. You do not need money to feel abundant first. You need abundance of feeling to let money in. This is why the concept of being ready to be ready is so powerful. You do not jump straight from fear to overflow. You move gently. You build emotional readiness through moments that feel good regardless of your financial situation. You allow satisfaction to grow without tying it to a number. You cultivate a mindset that says, I can feel emotionally wealthy even before the physical evidence arrives. And the moment you genuinely feel that way, not pretend, not force, not push, the money begins matching the new signal. You cannot force readiness. You can only allow it. Many people live with clogged emotional pipes around money, old beliefs, childhood conditioning, anxiety inherited from parents, memories of close calls, overdue bills, or the feeling of not being enough. These emotional residues become the pipes that keep the flow from moving freely. And when they try to force money in, all they do is push against the clog and make the pressure louder. The solution is not to force the pipes open. The solution is to stop feeding the clog. When you stop forcing and start softening, the pipes clear naturally because you are no longer activating the thoughts that constrict the flow. Money does not require strain. It requires spaciousness. You cannot let abundance in while rehearsing stories of scarcity. You cannot receive newness while replaying old tension. You cannot welcome overflow while emotionally preparing for disappointment. This is why the emotional practice of appreciation is so powerful. Appreciation is not about ignoring reality. It is about tuning your internal signal toward the tone of abundance so consistently that your external reality has no choice but to match it. Appreciation opens the pipes. Appreciation softens the system. Appreciation stabilizes your emotional algorithm, so it begins curating thoughts of ease, clarity, inspiration, and timing that naturally lead to more abundance. Many people resist this step because they believe appreciation should wait until they have proof. But that is the opposite of how creation works. You appreciate first because appreciation is what reshapes your emotional state into a match for what you desire. You appreciate for the same reason you like uplifting content on your feed. It trains the system to show you more of what you prefer. The moment you stop forcing money to arrive and start cultivating appreciation, satisfaction, and emotional richness, you become vibrationally wealthy long before the dollars show up. And dollars always follow vibrational wealth. You may not realize how powerful it is to feel satisfied before anything is changed. That feeling is the evidence that you have shifted from lack to alignment. And alignment is the doorway through which abundance enters. Think of how different life feels on days when you wake up and everything feels light, hopeful, and open. You feel clearer. Ideas come more easily. Timing flows. People are kind. You receive supportive impulses that lead you exactly where you need to go. That state is your emotional, high-flying disc. It is the internal frequency that abundance listens to. When you are there, money flows with the same ease as breath. And on days when you feel heavy or stressed or rushed, and you try to force clarity or force progress, everything feels harder. Opportunities stall, impulses dry up. These are the moments where you are emotionally broadcasting lack, and the universe simply mirrors the emotional signal you are giving. This is why forcing money never works. Forcing is not alignment. Forcing is the emotional declaration that says, I don't trust the process. I don't trust timing. I don't believe I can receive without strain. And when that becomes your emotional signal, your inner feed returns thoughts and experiences that match that mistrust. It has to. That is how the algorithm works. When you finally stop forcing and allow yourself to step into emotional abundance, everything changes. Not because the universe suddenly decides to favor you, but because you finally become a match to the abundance that was waiting for you all along. Money begins rushing in when you let your emotional state stabilize into ease, gratitude, and satisfaction. When you stop measuring yourself, when you stop pushing, when you stop battling your own fear, when you stop rehearsing the old story, when you stop trying to earn your worth and start recognizing that your worth is constant and not up for debate. Allowing is not passive. Allowing is powerful. Allowing is choosing emotional alignment over emotional struggle. Allowing is what activates your inner feed to deliver ideas, opportunities, and impulses that lead to the wealth you want. You do not clear the path by running faster. You clear the path by relaxing the emotional tension that makes you run in the first place. When you shift your emotional state, abundance has a straight line to you. So if you feel pressure around money today, let the pressure drop. If you feel fear, soften it. If you feel overwhelmed, breathe into neutrality. You do not have to jump straight to joy. You only need to become a little more open, a little more appreciative, a little more satisfied. Money begins flowing when you become emotionally uncluttered, when you trust your timing, when you enjoy the ideas that come to you, when you feel grateful for your clarity, your inner guidance, your connections, your moments of inspiration, when you stop demanding proof and start letting your emotional algorithm stabilize into abundance instead of fear. When you stop forcing money to appear, you create the space for it to pour in. Your emotional readiness is the signal. Your emotional abundance is the currency. And your internal atmosphere is the channel through which everything flows. You are not waiting on money. Money is waiting on you. Full video. Tune into abundance like you tune your TikTok feed at Found Teachings.